What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more AFK Journey, and we are going to be testing out Mikola specifically in Dream Realm against the Skyclops, because this is a very interesting one, how it works. She still ends up being the best, but it's funny how her zone can actually be taken over by the enemy boss. Let's get over that horrible summoning session we already have. So just a quick little input here. We are not going to go for plus 10 on her for the extra vitality. I don't necessarily think that's like necessary. We already have the 60% extra damage of her attack, so that should be fine. We are going with skill power and attack on all of the magic charms, and that's mainly because her buff ability, even her attack increase, you can see 20% attack boost plus an additional 3 she's getting from that, so it's an extra little boost, which is kind of cool here. Of course, her healing is better from all these things, and yeah, her season ability as well gives the shield to the frontmost ally, which is just some extra survivability. So let's jump into it. Let's see what she can do. I've already seen quite a few people with some really good records here. You can see basically this damage here, and you know what, I'll show you a before and after of damage. This is the old team that we were using that was the best of the best. Still very centric around those maulers. I gotta speed this back up. With Scarlita, with Freyasto, with Shakir, Lily May, that was like the go-to here. However, I think the change that I saw was people were dropping out Smokey. So let's see how that actually turns out, because I'm not quite sure exactly how her damage is working. Again, you can see a lot of the allies are surrounding the enemy. You got like, I don't know if the illusion from Freyasto counts. If it does count the illusion, that could be insane. But you can see how like all these summons pop up. Occasionally you can lose control for a short period of time of the Honor Arena battlefield, which is just really interesting to think. But you can see here, our damage is still very, very good, approaching 50 billion, it looks like. 48, yeah, we had to deal with all the summons and everything, so not too bad. You can see our damage breakdown. You can see Smokey doing about 6.3 billion. Let's now see, we're still in the top 6. Let's see what the new formations everybody running. You can see Smokey's actually still here. It's Scarlita that is getting the drop, and you can see the difference in damage. Wow. So we're going to jump in here. We're going to drop Scarlita, which means we're even heavily more into the Mauler faction modes. And you can see on the battlefield the layout here. So Mikola is going to get the extra energy boost from the Freyasto, and it looks like nobody needs the damage reduction from the second Freyasto, so nobody is behind him. The sweet spot about this battlefield here is going to be the fact that Lily May stays in it a lot of the time here. Let's see what happens on the first time the boss summons. I guess with our team, we didn't lose the control, which is really, really good. And I'm intrigued to see what her damage output looks like, especially when you compare it to the Smokey's third ultimate, which is about to come up right here. So we got 10 seconds of Smokey ultimate versus an entire time with all of these allies with that combat fury proccing it. The only one that doesn't is the Lily May, because she's not in melee range of the boss, which is intriguing. But you can see how fast we got to 45 billion. Haven't lost anybody. 15 seconds left. Looks like we'll probably break 50, but I think there's gonna be one more round of summons at the end, which, yeah, means we do about 2 billion more. It's not a huge difference. So if you guys are really, really worried about being top of the top, yeah, we went up 4 ranks right there. Surprisingly enough, she didn't even do a crazy high amount of damage. I think most of what she is providing on this team is that additional 23% attack, which is a lot of attack. I feel like her damage has to either be like bugged out somehow, or I don't know what. This is definitely interesting. I wonder if people tried dropping Shakir, or if Shakir is required in this team. Because like, this is a really solid lineup. I feel like you could probably try to change some stuff up. I wonder what happens if you put a Scarlita in instead of a Shakir, if that does anything different, because of course Scarlita does have better AoE for the summons. We lose the damage reduction, and I do think the aura from Shakir does count as a buff for Lily May's leveling ability, so that might be a part of it as well. You can see Scarlita gets pushed all the way over to the side for a lot of the fight, which is not the best thing in the world. I wonder how Corrin would do on a team like this too, because Corrin fits in that perfect sweet spot area at range 2, just like Lily May does. I feel like this is definitely going to be less. Shakir, it's nice to see Shakir is still very useful in very specific teams, but I'd love to mess around with the positioning and see if we can get better scores. It looks like with Scarlita, honestly, it's really, really close. The Scarlita versus Shakir, if you don't have Shakir built, this is almost identical, and probably with some RNG, probably provides about the same damage output. Man, it makes me want to test some different stuff now, because again, that was the more traditional team. The current team that is using the best. I like taking what other people have done and trying to tweak it a little bit. I wonder what happens if we throw someone like Korn in here that can do more damage and will make sure we're in that sweet spot. Let's try a couple different like replacements, because I do feel like that is the one position that can be replaced. And the fact that he's also a true damage dealer and does do AoE as well could be good. He also provides shielding to like Smokey to make sure he doesn't die. I don't think that's really relevant, but I'd like to see what type of damage this can output. The only downside here is it does lower our faction bonus by 1 hero, which isn't necessarily amazing. It's not horrible too. Yeah, Mikola's damage, I feel like it might be bugged out or something. Like her actual buffing ability is really, really insanely good. Yeah, no, that's actually much, much worse here. That's like not even close to the damage we were outputting before. Little disappointing, but honestly not that big of a shock. The only other thing I could think is maybe putting another buffer on this type of team to see if we can really ramp up the damage. And who is one of the best ones at doing that also does AoE damage? Well, yeah, Thorin. I wonder how Thorin would do in this type of team. Again, this really does continue to hurt that we're not going for a higher faction bonus. I think that's why Scarlita can be so good, is because she's providing that extra stat boost. I wonder how Thorin does here, though. It's funny that Lily May is just so powerful. And I do think that, like, because of global launch, we got multiple heroes and everything coming out at the same time. Or not global launch, test server in like Vietnam and all those places got the game. China, we're at 40 billion. This is not looking anywhere near as good. So yeah, it does look like Shakir or Scarlita is kind of the play here. Scarlita gives a little bit better of a faction bonus, and then the last 40 seconds has a good amount of damage boosting with haste and everything, but I feel like our Lily May does not level up as fast because of the auras. And again, these are all temporary buffs, which is why it's doing so much extra boosting to our Lily May. I'm intrigued. I feel like Scarlita could probably really beat this out, and there's really no one else that's going to provide buffs and damage at the same time to really make this crazy. Although the only other one I would even consider maybe is Citrana. But I don't think this is going to be that great. I don't think it is. Granted, she does provide those sparks on everybody for more additional damage. She's increasing the magic damage the boss is taken by 20%, which is really big for the Lily May. She does have AoE damage. She's pretty tanky. She does provide more survivability to our team. I just feel like it's probably not going to be anywhere near as good as a Shakir or a Scarlita. It's kind of insane how much damage Fresto ended up doing after his launch. It was hard to see how much damage he was actually doing, but now it's like so much easier to actually see that damage. Now that the illusion damage counts for him as well. I mean, the damage is looking good. 45, 46-ish billion, somewhere in that ballpark. Still respectable. So if you have these more niche heroes with the core team, it's good. But yeah, at the end of the day, her damage is definitely less than Smokey, which makes me either think Smokey is bugged out or she is. It almost makes me think that Smokey is just straight up not working the way he's supposed to. Because as you guys know, even with his aroma here, it's supposed to be capping out at 200% of his attack. That's kind of crazy, because that's only 10 seconds of 200% of his attack, whereas this new hero, technically if we have 4 heroes close to the enemy, that's supposed to be 240% of her attack. So I don't know. This is confusing. We'll have to see. But overall, she is the top damage dealer, top supporter. And it's mainly due to this right here. That a bonus attack is just so good. She does have tons of healing. I guess there's only one other team I'd want to try at this point. And that is, can you remove Smokey from the team? Is that even a viable option? What if you take Smokey out and put Scarlita in? So you have another damage dealer? Although, I mean, Smokey still does more damage than, like, Shakir. So I can't see this being good. And on top of that, Smokey provides that 20% aura attack buff as well. So I don't think you'd ever drop Smokey out, but you never know until you test something. Until you test it, you really can't tell. Plus, his one ultimate does do a lot of AoE damage to the summons. We are getting to 40 billion pretty quick, though. 40 billion with 40 seconds left. I don't know. This is intriguing, to say the least. 44, 45. It's going to be a little short. Oh, but that Scarlita ultimate right there was an insane clear of those enemies. Wow, this is actually really close. You could almost... It actually worked better. Holy cow, my best attempt did not have Smokey. That is intriguing. That is actually really, really intriguing. So I'm going to share my formation so that I get that up there that, yeah, technically you don't need to use Smokey. That's kind of crazy. Actually really, really crazy. So maybe you don't need Mikola at Supreme Plus at this point. His only reason why we went Supreme Plus was for that damage, and it seems like her damage is honestly either bugged, not working, or just absolute crap. In reality, all you need to get her to is Legendary Plus for the additional attack bonus. Actually, you know, you don't even need that. You really just need this here. Skill power. Pretty strong. Let me know what you guys think. She, really good support hero, it seems like, even without the damage potential. I'll see you guys next time.